Aloha and welcome to our weekly wrap up. I don't know how you're feeling, but I'm definitely feeling the yo yo model that I think we've been on now for 3 weeks. And I'm really hoping for some consistency where we can start to develop really good habits in our students. I don't know what the future holds, but I do know that today we're going to learn what the next few weeks hold for us. So we're moving forward, and I talk to my students a lot about being ready to pivot, and that's kind of what we do in middle school. Middle school is a lot of pivoting, and definitely hopeful that we'll have some consistency. Okay, so as far as what we've been doing this week, we've been doing a lot with analyzing data, so a lot of making graphs and numbers and looking at trends in graphs. We're going to start talking about how graphs can be used to show bias, and how data can be manipulated in different ways. And so that's what's going to be coming next week as we continue with analyzing data and measurement. Also, next week, an important day to remember is September 9th. That's Wednesday, because that's going to be midterm. Now, I want to focus a little bit on the consequences of that. So, at midterm, all assignments in Canvas will close. So the reason for that is we need to have an opportunity to grade and provide feedback to those assignments. And so they have to close so I can get all of that organized in order to report those to Skyward for that midterm grade. And so, I've been talking to the students about how if they have any late or missing assignments, or they want to get something redone for a better grade, they need to do that before midnight on September 9th. On that, so at Wednesday at midnight, all of the assignments that we've had in Canvas are going to all close, which means they cannot resubmit or submit. And then those grades are what get reported to Skyward. So I wanted to just touch base on. Last week I went over how to check for missing assignments in Canvas, but ultimately, what's most important are those grades that are reported to Skyward. And so when you go into Skyward with your family access, at the top of the page, you'll see in red font there the missing assignments. And so most of our teachers are pretty good at indicating in there when an assignment is missing. And so you can see this particular student has 5 missing assignments, and you'll want to click on the show all in order to be able to see that. And so that is how you get access to Skyward to be able to see those missing assignments. And it's real important to go in there and check that fairly regularly. We encourage students to check that at least 2 or 3 times a week and get those turned in as quickly as possible. Now, should you be checking Canvas as well? Yes, but there are the Canvas grade is a little different than the Skyward grade. And so remember, in Canvas, that grade is much more of feedback to students to start that feedback loop. What gets reported to Skyward, that's ultimately what their grade turns out to be. And so, that's going to be Wednesday of next week. Also next week we're taking the first round of NWEA. And I just wanted to mention that because it takes on a different significance as an 8th grader, because we do use that data for high school placement in classes. And I'm a little interested to see how that's going to play out this year, because we don't have any, iLearn data from last year, because students did not take the iLearn in 2019. And so a lot of the matrix that we use for high school placement might be a little different this year than how they have been in years past. So, eighth grade year, it's a pivotal year as far as getting kids placed into, that proper high school placement. And with having less data now to do that, it's going to be really interesting to see how all of that plays out. So NWEA next week, just want to, it's a good time to, talk to kids about positive test taking strategies, getting plenty of sleep, dealing with anxiety, like we do breathing in class and things like that. So I'm going to really be hitting that hard in class, and it would be good to be reinforced at home as well. So that's kind of the outline I've made for this week's weekly wrap up. As just a quick personal thing, it is always, I appreciate positive reinforcement. And so on these announcements, if you could, give me a thumbs up if you're watching it on YouTube, or give me an appreciate if you're doing it in Parent Square, that means a lot. So I really appreciate feedback from parents. And if you would just take a minute to do that, second to do that, I would really appreciate it. So thank you so much. And I'll talk to you next week. Enjoy Labor Day weekend.